everyone thinks I'm living this like amazing, like bloggy life, which is true, definitely true. And a lot of it is really fun and really creative, but at the same time, it's also like very stressful because at the end of the day, I don't have financial security. It's up to me to book these jobs.
Yeah.
And there is no other way that I would want to live my life, but like it's still stressful.
We've got influencer, blogger, chef, business owner, YouTuber, chaotic neutral Gemini, Liz Mew here with us today. Liz, also known as It's Liz Mew, boasts over 191,000 followers on Instagram, over 52K on TikTok, and over 28K on her YouTube channel, Loud Noodle. Liz founded the famous vegan cinnamon scroll market stall Milk and Bun, which attracts major crowds across Sydney. She also consults with and helps other small vegan businesses grow exponentially through her platforms and audience reach, has run multiple Asian cooking courses, has featured on and created content for BuzzFeed, collaborated with big brand names such as Woolworths, Lindt, Weet-Bix, Crust Pizza, Nature's Charm, Evergreen, Disney, and more. Used to play and teach clarinet as well, and creates and showcases incredible veganized Asian dishes across socials. Welcome to the podcast, Liz.
Hello. Wow, what an intro. That makes me sound infinitely cooler than I am.
But you fully are.
Yeah.
Viv didn't take a breath when she said that whole thing.
I was like, all right, let's get through it.
Gotta get through. Anyway.
Alrighty. Tell us a bit about your upbringing, who you are.
Sure. I was born in Sydney to my parents, Joanne and King. My mum is from Malaysia. She's from like the slums in Malaysia. Mm-hmm. And my dad is from Beijing, but he moved to Hong Kong when he was young. And his mum is from Indonesia.
Wow.
So
really diverse there.
Yeah,
it's a huge mix.
It's a big mix. Like I was saying, my mum's from the slums. Actually, when my dad went to visit her for the first time in Malaysia, the taxi driver was like, I don't drive there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when like we visited her family home for the first time when I was really, really young, it was like full on like corrugated iron, like slats, like the full slums. But the interesting thing was like my mum's like the youngest girl in her family of like, I don't know, 8 kids or something. Mm-hmm. I don't actually know the full number. Is that bad? But like their family was really well protected and there's all these like gangsters living around them, like protecting this like little, like very wholesome family. Yeah. And she had a pretty good like they were super poor, but her parents managed to send her to like a really good school where she learned English and like her education was amazing. And then she ended up here. I don't know how.
Did all the kids get the education or was it just her?
Just the younger kids, the youngest of the kids.
Right.
And yeah.
Okay.
And then how did you, and then how did your parents wind up here then?
So they both came here for uni.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think my mum came on like some sort of
student
scholarship kind of thing. Not a scholarship, what do you call it? Sponsorship. There we go. Mm-hmm. Yep. Sorry, everyone. I also just had COVID. So my COVID brain fog is happening. So if I'm just stuck for a little bit, that's what's happening. What were we talking about? How did my parents meet? Oh, in uni. They both came here for university. Yeah.
Cool. And then, so you were born here?
I was born here.
Okay.
Yes.
And then where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Eastwood, which is a very Asian suburb, split by the train line. Half of it is Chinese, half of it is Korean, as you know, because you live in Eastwood.
Yep. It
is the best place to live. But honestly, growing up, I did not want to be Asian. That was like my thing. I was like token Asian girl in the white group. And like, this is all subconscious. Like in preschool, I was the Asian friend of the little white girls and I would hang out. I guess it's also because I didn't grow up speaking any Asian language. Yeah. I mean, my parents, because they speak pretty much like they speak Cantonese, they speak Mandarin and they speak English as well. Like, because my parents' main languages are different, they will talk to each other in both languages. And then to us, they'll just like shout little things like, do your homework, eat food. So we understand basic things, but then the main language in our house was English.
Oh, it was actually English. So the actual communication, but they would use random words here. Wow, okay. How interesting. And then you mentioned, obviously, you were saying like you didn't want to be Asian, but you grew up in Eastwood, which was predominantly Asian. Yeah. So then how does that work?
I think it's like a survival thing. Like when you're young, you can already tell, you don't know that it's racism, but you know people are treating you differently because you're Asian. And I just...
Back then it wasn't a welcome thing either. Like you were in survival mode. You didn't really want to be Asian. I can relate to that.
Exactly. Like I don't know why that's just how it panned out. And I've just became that like, I don't want to be associated with anyone who's Asian. I just want to be white. I want to be white so bad. And that stayed with me pretty much all the way through high school. And like, even though I went to Hornsby Girls and everyone's pretty much Asian as well, I was like, I'm going to find the whitest group that I can and like be in that white group. And in year 7, I actually joined like an Asian group and I was so uncomfortable because everyone spoke Asian, everyone was fluent in Asian. And I feel like I felt like you're kind of stuck in between like being Asian but also being white. Like I can't speak Asian, but I'm Asian. So I relate to all these Asian people.
And the nuances. Yeah,
and the nuances, but I'm still not 100% comfortable. And then I hang out with my friends who are all white and I'm still not comfortable because I'm not a white and I don't understand, like, yes, I understand the culture or I've learnt it so I can like
assimilate,
but like I'm still not white. And like there's a part of me missing. And I think only now I'm comfortable with who I am and like it's actually taken my blog and me exploring my heritage through cooking food. I'm like, being Asian's fucking awesome. Like, well, what am I so embarrassed about? And like growing up, I was like, I'm never going to date an Asian guy. I'm never going to date an Asian guy. And like.
Well, where did that come from? I'm so curious.
I don't know. I think it's.
Because the reason why I asked is like, you went to school and it was like dominant Asian. You grew up in an Asian suburb. Like, yeah, were there any influence? You're like, no, I don't want to be associated with Asian. Was it just too much Asian in your life?
I don't think so. It's not something that's present in my mind all the time. Yes, I definitely have this NFU, this need for uniqueness. I need to be different. I want to succeed, basically. There's always been this drive in me, like, to do what I want and succeed and to be the best at, I don't know, there's this drive in me and I guess I feel like my chances of doing better in life, in the world is if I'm seen as, like when I was young, I was like, I'm Asian, but I'm not that Asian. I'm a cool Asian.
Yeah.
You know, like as a kid, I would be like, oh, I don't speak Chinese and that's something I would be proud of. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't speak Chinese fluently. I'm sorry. Yeah, like it's embarrassing. And I wish like we were sent to Chinese school. And I just cried every single weekend on Saturday when we got sent to Chinese school because all the kids already speak Chinese and all they're learning is to write. So that the entire lesson is in Chinese. And I'm like, I literally don't know what's going on. And then you feel lost as a kid and you feel like your parents have forced you into an uncomfortable position. And like looking back, I'm like, I'm sure they could have introduced the idea of learning that language to me better. And I might have seen that it was useful, like it's a useful tool to have. And like, yeah, I just didn't get it at the time. And now I'm like, all I want to know is all the Asian languages and as many languages as I can learn, basically.
I guess back then as well, like we were talking about it, how it wasn't seen as like cool or like you didn't feel like the crowd was considered successful now. Like it is today. And like there's Asian actors now, there's Asian influencers, there's everything that we can support.
It's that representation.
Yeah,
the kids today have it pretty good. Like it's not amazing, but it's there. And it definitely does make a difference. You know, the first time you see someone Asian on screen, you're like, that's me.
Yeah.
Even though it's like a Lucy Liu who's like cool and sexy. And I think this is why we have so many like cool, sexy Asians because this is all we saw growing up. It's like, oh, I can either fit into that or I can be super nerdy and like super successful and quiet and like submissive. And like that's all we saw. So like that's kind of just.
It's like typecast.
Yeah,
right?
I'm just realizing, I'm having a realization now. I'm like, I guess I'm like, I want to be the loud, successful. I'm not the quiet kind of Asian. I'm this kind of Asian.
Yeah. And I guess you felt like assimilating into people that weren't Asian as well in groups in that situation made you feel like you were kind of climbing the ladder and like becoming successful because you were separating yourself.
Yeah. I don't think I'm alone in this at all. I feel like this is a very common story for like so many.
Right now,
exactly.
heaps,
so many Asian people. They're just like who am I? And like just finding yourself. Oh my gosh, this podcast, there's so many like revelations. Because like you don't really talk about this.
Yeah,
I
no one
think
talks
even
about
with
it.
your Asian friends, like it's something everyone knows. Like everyone's had their own journey, but like talking about it is really interesting.
I guess we're also first gen as well, technically. Like we're children of immigrants. And so our parents went through something and now we're going through something that's completely new. No one else has grounded their roots here like we are doing right now. It's our first experience of anything.
We probably have, I mean, the experiences of like being, you know, the children of first migrants is that we have a very unique experience because we grew up with like Eastern family environments and values, but then we live in a Western society. So we have to find this weird thing where we assimilate into both because you almost have like two personas, right? Like you come home and you got a persona and then you go out and you got a persona. And I remember thinking like what Liz was saying is like Asian wasn't cool back then, right? Like I remember the first time and when I was like, oh, like Asians are actually cool was like literally when like K-pop was like blowing up.
Yeah.
Right? Like SM Town was like, everyone was like watching SM Town. It was like, well, I don't know if you guys know SM Town, but like it was like, you know, like you think about JYP and all these big record labels now and like K-pop stars, these guys were like the first bunch to come out and like be super cool. So like I felt like, at least in my experience growing up in Western Sydney, it was like the Koreans were like the first lot to be like.
Well, they were a cool
as
Asian.
cool.
Like if I was Asian, I would hope people would think that I was Korean or Japanese.
Yeah.
Not
Wanted to be
Chinese
different
though.
Asian, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not Chinese.
Yeah, 100%. You were talking about your upbringing, obviously, and then obviously the struggles in terms of, you
and
know.
like just like that's a whole other thing. I feel like getting them to understand like we're trying to live, like you didn't come here for nothing. We understand the struggle that you went through, and I want you to be proud of me, but I'm going to do this on my own terms and I'm going to lead like you came here to give me these opportunities. And yes, you want me to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. But that's not what I want to do. I don't think they realize that we've kind of gone beyond that. You've given us so much privilege and so much opportunity that we can actually
do more.
We can do what we want and make money and be happy, and that can all come in one package. And that's just a concept I feel like even my parents are only now like starting to understand.
You're saying they think like to be safe and comfortable and happiness are not like, it's like binary. It's like you can't have both.
So like there's always this, you need to work hard to get that security, because I feel like that financial security, stability wasn't something that was set in stone for my parents at least. And they worked so hard to get to, it's like, what is it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah. It's like you need that base level of security before you can even
achieve anything else.
Like even think about stuff that makes you happy, like to your core.
Well, what did your parents want you to do?
It's so funny because my grandma is a doctor and a surgeon, and so my grandma's story is kind of, I guess, influences my parents' stress on us to work hard as well. So my grandma was born in Indonesia, and she left Indonesia when she was 17. That's the last time she ever saw her dad, and the next time she saw her dad was at his funeral.
Wow.
So like she's an iron lady. She does not cry. She went to China, studied medicine there, became a doctor, and like worked in the train tracks. And my dad learned how to cook really well when he was really young. And then they moved to Hong Kong when my dad was for high school, and my dad was learning Cantonese for the first time. He said, it's so funny because like to me, because I hear Cantonese and Mandarin at home, in my head they're super similar, but my dad was like, when I first moved to Hong Kong, couldn't tell when I was in class if they were speaking English or Cantonese.
Whoa.
Yeah, just could not tell between Cantonese, like coming from Beijing.
Is that
I just thought that was so interesting. He's like, could not discern the two.
Is that because during that time, because of the culture shift with European and HK, like there was an overlap?
Well, Cantonese and Mandarin are, like I can speak Mandarin, but I can't speak Cantonese. My partner's Cantonese. I can't understand her when she speaks Cantonese.
Really?
It's like the tonality, like the structure's the same. I think when you understand bits of both, you can understand that the structure's the same, like it's written the same. So you're like, oh, they're similar. But I think that the actual sound is so different.
To me, they're so separated. Like those two languages are completely different to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how people think about languages.
But to not be able to discern between English and Cantonese, that's really different because English is not a tonality language.
Yeah.
Right? And
but I guess if you only know Mandarin, if you grew up, it's like when white people try and speak any other language if they only learn English, like they you just can't. It's so hard for you to, or if anyone only knows one language, it's so hard for you to wrap your head around trying to like language in a different way. Anyway, I digress. What was I talking about?
Well, I was going to say, I was like, I feel like that's also a, like as us being Asians, but growing up in Western society, we're quite blessed from a language standpoint.
Yeah, we've been exposed to everything.
We've been exposed culturally on how language fundamentally work. So I feel like when like even traveling, but even like within Asian languages, right? They're like so many different languages. You can appreciate just how diverse Asia is. Because it's like, you know, like you said, like some, like particularly Chinese, wanted to be frigging Korean or Japanese, like growing up, right? No one wanted to be Chinese. I feel like the Chinese are now having a bit of a renaissance because, you know,
they're seen as successful.
They're seen, right? Like there's a certain definition of Chinese success is now quite cool. But it's taken a long time because, I feel like, the Koreans and maybe the Japanese were like the first to it.
For sure.
Well, you were talking about your grandma and her story behind that.
Oh, yeah. And so like my grandma has had this huge struggle. So when she moved from China to Hong Kong, her medical degree didn't actually pass over. So she had to study the entire thing again to become a doctor in Hong Kong. And then that's where she kind of set up herself. And like the entire time from them moving to Indonesia to China, they're penniless, even as a doctor in China. And like this is a time where food is scarce. So my dad also has a whole different like food ethos to me. His thing is don't waste food because you don't know what it's like to be hungry. And he says he's lucky because having a mum that is a doctor, even if people can't pay you, they'll give you food because you cured their mum, their dad, their family member. So he never went super hungry, but like
knows the struggle.
Yeah, he told me like there was a time when they're rationing in China and all he could eat for 3 months straight was carrots. Wow. And my dad hates carrots. He, like when he looks at a carrot for too long, he's like, I could literally cry staring at a carrot. Like he does not want to eat carrots. He hates carrots.
Oh, so interesting. See, my dad's never talked about that time period in his life. Like if I ever bring it up.
But like that's the thing. We don't understand their struggle. Imagine eating carrots only for 3 months. Like we have this incredible luxury of eating whatever we want from whatever cuisine in Sydney as well. We live in freaking Sydney. You can get literally any food you want.
Very lucky,
From like no matter what time of the year it is, you can eat whatever you want. You can literally pick. That is how that's an incredible privilege.
It's like my dad said, like you would only get to eat one boiled egg once a year because of Chinese New Year or on your birthday. That was the only time you could have egg. Otherwise, it was rice, vegetables, barely.
I remember actually my dad's the same. He doesn't tell me many stories, but when he does, he said Chinese New Year was the only time you get to eat meat. And it was like this very small, tiny nugget of a portion. And he used to say apparently there used to be like street vendors and they'd like sell like different types of food. And he wouldn't have no money to like basically buy it. And all he'd do is literally after school stand there, stare at it to feel better about himself. And then go home hungry, basically.
Oh my god!
Like stuff like that. Like the famine back in the day, obviously in China was like it's ridiculous.
So hard, they carry so much trauma with them, but they just really never talk about it either.
I know. Yeah.
So to round that out, your grandma, doctor, that sort of stuff. Did your parents want you to be a doctor?
Yes. So my grandma's the middle child of her 3 siblings and I'm the middle child of me and my 3 siblings and our zodiacs all match up.
Oh my God.
So my grandmas are exactly 60 years older than me. My older sister is exactly like 60, like the differences are the same. So there was this huge pressure on me to
follow the lineage,
become a doctor. And I think I always assumed that's what I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think what the job description, I never thought about the job description. Like when you're a doctor, someone comes into your office and they sit down and they tell you what's wrong with them and you have to fix their shit.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that till year 12. Yeah. Till year 12 after the HSC when I'm like, no, I've already applied for medicine at this point. I've already done the
application process.
Yeah, I'm already like in my head, I'm going to be a doctor, but I still haven't thought about the job description. That's how it's just this. I don't know. It's just for the prestige.
Yeah.
It's just for the prestige. And growing up, because I always wanted to be successful, like all my friends, they'd be like, oh, Liz is going to be the doctor. Liz is going to be the doctor.
That was the definition.
Yeah, that was the thing. Oh, she's the Asian one as well. So like, like even though I'm in the white group, they're like, oh, she's the Asian one. She's the smart one. She'll be the doctor.
Well, walk us through how that happened. Like you said, you went to med school, and then you walked through that, and then you graduated in health science and majoring in marketing, and then now you're an influencer. Like, how does that happen?
Okay, so I didn't go to med school.
Mm-hmm.
So that was not the trajectory. I didn't get into medicine.
Okay.
What did I do?
You still did
I started on a master's of nursing.
Yeah.
So that's when I started. And then that's also when I realized what it takes to be working in a hospital and how much work nurses do. And I was like, I don't want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. But like there's a pathway. You can do nursing and you can either become a doctor of nursing, or you can finish your nursing, go to med school. Like there's so many different pathways to do med. And I was like, oh, I'll become a nurse first. Then I'm going to be working in the hospital. I'll get heaps of experience and do medicine while I'm already a qualified nurse, and I'll be working in the hospital. I already know everyone. And like, yeah, that was my plan. And then like I start nursing, it's shit. I hate hospitals. They're sterile. Like in all the prac that we're doing, I'm like, I do not like, how is this? I've always been a really creative person as well and really artsy. Like that's always what I've loved. And
it's like science.
Exactly. And I'm like, I can do science, but I don't love science. And yeah.
So when did it shift? How far did you get?
Well, I took so many gap years. So finishing uni took me about 5-6 years, even though my entire degree was probably like 3 or 4. I have no idea because I ended up switching, and I just finished my uni degree to please my parents basically, because they're like, you need to graduate, otherwise you're not going to get a job. So I finished with a Bachelor of Health Science, majoring in marketing, but like I finished all my electives, and towards the end of uni, I'm literally going to uni doing electives. I'm doing French, I'm doing Spanish. I love languages. So I'm just like doing all this fun stuff towards the end, and marketing just to like, to finish it off. But like, I feel like I didn't need to go to uni, and it's a waste of money. And yeah, unless you're, I don't know.
But you did start Milk and Bun during uni as well.
I started Milk and Bun. Well, I became vegan during uni, and I was so passionate about being vegan. I was like, how can I trick people into eating vegan food? And that was, I was like, you know what people love? They love desserts. I love cinnamon rolls. I'm going to start a cinnamon roll store. And like, so I just started it at uni. So that's one good thing that came out of uni, I guess.
So how did the influencer thing start then?
Mm-hmm. That's a whole little like,
let's hear
I feel like that was my main life.
We got time.
And then, yeah. and uni's like, yeah. So I wanted to get fit and like get into all the Fitspo stuff. So I'm like, I want to be fit. I'm going to be that sexy Asian. So
doing cartwheels at death.
Yeah, basically. So I started doing yoga. My dad was really into yoga as well. So he started bringing me along to yoga. I'm like, oh, this is sick.
Well, hang on. Asian dad into yoga.
Yeah. So I don't know how he started. Oh, someone from his work brought him to yoga. My dad, it's the hot yoga as well. It's Bikram.
My God.
It's Bikram yoga.
Balls inside a hot room.
Yeah, which is like pretty controversial. But anyway, my dad's super into it. So he takes me, and it's so intense, and I love a challenge. It is like you're in a 40-degree room. You're sweating for like an hour and a half doing these.
Smelly as shit in there.
Yeah, it stinks, but it's so intense, and it's because I'm such a high energy person. It's just like you can't do anything in that room but think about surviving. Literally. So I get into yoga, get into Fitspo. I'm like, I'm going to change my diet so I can be super ripped and look
sexy Asian.
Sexy Asian, guys. And so I'm eating all this. I've changed my whole diet. I'm into clean eating. You know, it's chicken breasts only. It's steak. It's steamed fish. It's broccoli. It's brown rice. And vegan is a word that I know, but I don't really understand why people are vegan. And I just start this Fitspo Instagram on the side to like post clean eating basically. And this is all through uni as well. So I take a gap year, go back to uni, and I join Vegetarian Society because I'm eating a lot of vegetarian food because it's healthy. It's going to help me get my dream bod. And then I meet all these people who are so happy and like they're the energy is like on another level. I'm like, damn, these people at Vegetarian Society, they're awesome. Also, you get like $5 meals at Vegetarian Society. So I'm hanging out with these people every week, and it takes me a few months, but I end up Googling after a few months, like, why are people vegan? And I watch one video that explains to me like the industry of like animal agriculture. Yeah, exactly. It's super messed up. And I'm like, oh shit. And like literally overnight I'm vegan. And I'm like, oh, I can't take part in this anymore. So that's how I became vegan. Was that the question?
And then influencer. How did you move into
and then so naturally because like that was also a time when Instagram's brand new at that time. Mm-hmm. So you're just learning that other people have a similar interest to you. Yeah. And you follow those people, and then it just grows very organically from there. And then
what year was around this? This would have been,
I think, like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, that would have been when Instagram first really.
Yeah.
Did you blow up?
Not immediately, but like there was a little burst. But like Instagram growth back in the day was so different. So I think I kind of left Instagram at a point as well. So my Instagram did kind of explode in the very beginning when Instagram was all about hashtags and posting every day, and everyone's feed came up in the chronological order. But then Instagram changed, and I went off Instagram because I had like a whole bunch of like mental health stuff happening. And I missed this, like that was a time when veganism became ginormous, and we had huge vegan bloggers like Tessberg, Bonnie Rebecca, like all these people, just like their Instagram accounts blew up. And I feel like if I stayed on during that time, I would have done really well, but I just couldn't do it at that time. Yeah.
This episode is produced and brought to you by Social Wave. Social Wave is a strategic content marketing agency helping businesses grow revenue using video, podcasts, and SEO. Head on over to socialwave.com.au to find out more. Now back to the show. So I guess your experience as an Asian female in the space, how do you feel about that? And do you think there's enough representation now? Was there enough representation back then?
Well, there's still no one that I follow who I'm like, oh, I want to be doing what they're doing. I feel like there's so many amazing Asian food bloggers now. And like we're all kind of paving the way, I feel. And we're still like, I'm in an amazing group chat on Instagram with all these Asian food bloggers, and it is the best group that I'm a part of. And everyone's like just asking for advice and like not getting ripped off by like companies and stuff. Like
you're supporting each other.
It's just the best support group, and everyone understands each other on this other level. And that like that already like makes asking for advice and like talking about stuff so much easier. And I pretty much just joined this, but everyone else is basically in America. But I was like, this is cool. This is where I want to be.
Yeah. And everyone.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I mean, you say American because it's like, I feel like here in Australia, we've almost got like another pocket within itself. You talk about Asian female influencer, and then you got Asian female influencer in America and Australia. So like that's an even smaller microcosm.
Yeah.
You know, here there's probably not a whole lot that you have a reference point for.
Yeah, there's not many people who I know from Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are...
It's a very small community here.
Like who I feel like I look up to. I would love there to be. And maybe they're out there and just haven't found them yet.
Yeah.
But
I guess everyone going off that, everyone is very individual and everyone has their own individual personalities as well. Mm-hmm. That's why you haven't really found someone that you want to be or want to look up to. But maybe that's how everyone else feels that follows you. Like they find you as their piece of representation and someone they can look up to as well. Do you ever feel like that's a big pressure?
Yes. And I think that defines how I present myself on social media as well. So like, yeah, I feel like sometimes I just want to start this extra Instagram where I can post exactly what I want to post. And at the end of the day, like that's a whole like social media thing. Like trying to be your authentic self online is obviously the goal and the dream. But like also when you are living that life, your real life kind of blurs with socials, and you don't know what should be kept public and what should be kept private. And then I feel like, I don't know, for me, like it can trigger a lot of like mental health spirals because I can't make good content unless I'm in a good mental space. Basically this week, like I just had COVID and like everything got like fucked around And like these 2 weeks, I'm just a mess. I'm honestly just a mess. And like everyone thinks I'm living this like amazing, like bloggy life, which is true, definitely true. And a lot of it is really fun and really creative. But at the same time, it's also like very stressful because at the end of the day, I don't have financial security. It's up to me to book these jobs.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is no other way that I would want to live my life. Like this is just it for me. Like I'm a creative and this is just how it is. But like it's still stressful. And like if I don't get that work done, I'm not getting paid. I don't know when my next paycheck is coming.
Have you spoken to your parents about what you do for work and in depth? I remember you telling me once there was a story how your dad was on a ski trip and one of his friends turned to him and was like, oh yeah, I know your daughter.
Oh yeah, and he was so proud in that. Yeah. That was like one of the first moments when my dad realized that I was doing okay was when he was on a ski lift and I don't know, he was just riding up with this like girl and he was like, oh, and he was like checking his phone or whatever, checking on like stalking me on Instagram. And this girl's like, I follow her. And he's like, that's my daughter.
Oh, that's so cute.
And then like since then, my dad's probably like my biggest fan.
Aww.
And he's like kind of really understands and he checks on my Instagram every day and he like comments and posts and sends like likes and stuff and he shares with all his friends. And now he has his own Instagram because everyone loves my dad when he cooks. But yeah, I still feel like they don't understand where I'm getting my money from. Every time I post something on Instagram, Mum's like, did Instagram pay you for that? I'm like, it's not how Instagram works.
Not how it works.
Literally. Or like if you post something on YouTube, she's like, how many views did it get? Do you get how like they don't really understand the flow. And I have explained it to them before, but like they just forget. It's kind of like explaining how to do something like
that they'll never practice kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like people who listen to this as well, I mean, obviously the younger cohort probably already have a good idea from a business model monetization standpoint. Being an influencer, like, you know, without going into the numbers, is like, where do you get your revenue sources from? Because obviously Instagram doesn't pay you directly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you talk about if you don't create content, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
You know, like how does this whole thing work for you?
So I have about 11 channels of income. Like you've got to, wherever you can kind of, there are so many different ways to make money. I guess the main way is for brands to pay you, paid collabs. So you're advertising a product, when you advertise a service, that brand will pay you and yeah, you put that out. That's probably the main way. You can make money through merch. I don't have merch. I don't do merch. I also do a market stall, which a lot of people don't do. But like, I guess that's one of my main income streams. Your blog, you can monetize.
How do you monetize your blog?
Ads. Again, everything is ads. So you're basically, when you run a blog, you want to be really popular. You want to have a really fun, funky, like your own way of presenting things that people relate to. And then you want brands to see value in that and then get you to promote their products in your way, basically. You basically want to be putting out really great content all the time so that it attracts brands and then those brands can pay you.
Because it's such an obvious thing. Like, I mean, we understand how this works, but I feel like, I mean, the parents, one thing, but certainly I think even the younger generation, you know, like that, I think a lot of people understand how YouTubers work and how they get paid, which is obviously through like, you know, again, ad revenue, you know, cost per mil, I mean, you know, cost per view and all that sort of stuff. But I think also, you know, when you're talking about like Instagram and you're talking about more social media, there's obviously other avenues. You got to find different ways to do that as well.
Unless you're in the space, the audience viewing doesn't really have that connection of what is an ad.
You can have heaps of followers on Instagram and be making no money. Yeah. For the longest time, Instagram has not been my main. I'm literally only trying to make Instagram and paid collabs my main form of, like this year I was like, this is the year I'm going to become a real blogger. I'm going to stop all my other jobs. I've got to put 100% of my energy into this because this is what I want to do. And if I keep like doing social media support for like other small businesses, they're going to make money. And at the end of the day, I'm making money for other people.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want to do.
Well, let's talk about Milk and Bun then, because it's this, for those that don't know, it's this huge market stall that you host at Sydney Vegan Market and sometimes in Newtown. But I've seen the crowds, you start at 9 o'clock, but people line up at 8:30 and it snakes all the way around the market and people come for you. So 1, how did you grow it? 2, did your influence help that as well?
I try to keep Milk and Bun and my blogging accounts super separate. A lot of people think I work there, like just I'm the girl who's serving buns on the day.
No,
some people know. Some people know now, but like a lot of people don't.
Okay.
And a lot of people think I'm just slacking off on the day, but like the reality is I've just been awake for like 36 hours baking 2,000 scrolls. So I'm a zombie on Sunday. Everyone else is serving, not me. So
is that because that's your perspective though? Because to everyone else, it's like.
I think there's a mix. Like honestly, I think people do come because of me, some people, but I think majority not. Like in the vegan community, I think Milk and Bun is its own thing. And people know of the brand more than they know me.
Like they come for the product.
They come for the product. They come like, I'm really big on, for the longest time, I never connected the two. Only kind of recently I've been like, oh, and I have this market stall. And everyone's like, what? This is you? Oh my gosh, you run a whole market stall on the side?
That's so interesting. Because my perspective and like our friends and stuff.
But that's because you know me.
Maybe.
And so it's really.
Like for the record, Liz and I are friends.
Yeah, we're besties. She's my wife.
There was like actually a website when I was researching Liz and it was like, who is Liz Mew's girlfriend?
It's because I always call.
You.
Yeah.
No, it didn't write down it was me, but like.
But I'm always like, oh, I'm with my wife today, Viv. Like, or like,
and everyone's like, oh, do you
me and my wife.
Girlfriend?
And then so many like people message me being like, oh my God, is she your actual wife? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, yes, she's my actual wife.
They're like, oh, cool.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I didn't know you were married. I'm like, yep. You know now.
Congratulations.
So I guess Milk and Bun, like circling back, Milk and Bun makes your main income.
Yeah, that's my main income. But that's something I built because I was like, oh gosh, I'm not making any money through blogging. Also, I didn't monetize I was not a smart blogger. I'm a lazy, like everything. I've just kind of learned from everyone else. And like as I said, I'm friends with a bunch of like Canadian and American food bloggers. And literally last year during COVID, I'm on a Zoom call with one of my friends and she's like, your blog isn't monetized? Like, where are the ads? How do you make any money? That's my main income stream. I was like, what? You can like,
oh no.
This like, there have been so many revelations. Like the first revelation ever is like when I had Instagram and one of my friends like, oh, I have an ABN because I charge people for posts. I'm like, you charge people for posts? What are you talking about? They pay you? I'm just getting free stuff. Isn't that good? And she's like, no, they're using you if they're giving you free stuff and you're posting about it. That's free marketing. I was like, and I'm doing marketing at uni as well at this time. So I really should have clocked on.
They didn't teach me this. There was no module about this.
Like, oh, what's an ABN? So I get myself an ABN, I start charging for posts. And honestly, I've been undercharging literally till this year.
Yeah. Last
year, a PR company told me, they're like, by the way, your content's really great. And you know you're undercharging, right? And I was like, am I? They're like, yeah. And I was like PR companies would never tell you that, but this lady was so lovely. And she's like, you've got to charge 4 times as much because that's how much we are paying everyone else. And like 4 times as much would just be like a base level as well. It's not even in the high end. And then when I talk to people from America, like it's a whole different like ballpark, like
everything here is delayed, isn't it?
Yeah. And like no one here is making as much money as food bloggers in America. Like
it's insane over there.
It is crazy. They can do one post and that's like their monthly income. Whereas I still have to do like.
You still got to do Milk and Bun.
Yeah. I still got to do Milk and Bun. Exactly.
But you do that because you enjoy Milk and Bun or you feel like it's more of a job?
Yeah. Oh, this is something we totally skipped, but I worked in hospitality as soon as I left high school. I've just been in hospitality this entire time. I thought I wanted to open a cafe, ended up becoming a general manager for this cafe company. We opened a cafe in Bondi. We had a cafe in Newtown, and that was a huge year for me as well. I moved out to Bondi, opened this cafe, and I wasn't supposed to be the general manager. I'm like 22 at this point. And I was supposed to be the assistant general manager. And just kind of, I was like, oh, this will be great. I can still go to uni. I can learn what it's like to run a cafe in Sydney as well, because it's so expensive to run a cafe in Sydney. But then the GM is from America and her visa gets declined 2 weeks before the cafe is supposed to open. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. Like, obviously I've been working at this cafe for like a while as well. So I know the ins and outs. So I'm like, I guess I'm taking a gap year off uni and I'm going to open this cafe.
Wow.
And it basically becomes my cafe. And I learned so much about good and bad leadership because
hospitality will make or break you, because I came from hospo as well.
Yeah. And like I love hospo, and I've worked every corner of hospo. I've like started front of house and I went to back of house, and like I never did any like proper chef training, but then I became a cook and I've run kitchens by myself. I've been on the pastry team, and like it was just, I feel like I've done quite a lot in hospo, and really I love sharing food with other people as well. And I love like a restaurant and cafes are just systems to help you share food with people. And like, so it's always something that I've always wanted to be a part of. And a lot of bloggers don't want to literally physically share their food with you. Whereas like I will invite 20 people to my house and I will cook for everyone, and it's a time. So like, I just feel like I need this, like even now I'm planning, I have like a chameleon pop-up that I'm planning, a vegan pop-up in Sydney, where I'm going to try and do, because I'm kind of getting a bit bored of milk and bun. I want to do vegan takoyaki. I want to do like Korean street food, because now my partner is Korean, and I'm like, I want to cook all this Korean food. And I just want to like try so many new things. And like I love when people eat something and it just brings them
soul and joy.
I just love good food experiences. I love when people are like, this is fucking delicious, or like it just blows their mind, or they're just having a really good day and out, and like food is just, especially in Asian culture, like we bond over food. This is, okay, so I never really dated someone who was in an Asian group until now.
This is the first time.
Literally. And so my partner now, when I met him and his friends, because I never hung out in an all Asian group, I was like, this is what it's like in an all Asian group. Everyone is like, I don't eat Korean barbecue, but like everyone's like Korean barbecue, cooking each other food and like
pouring each other drinks.
And like, it's just so wholesome. And I'm like, this is what I've been missing out on. And like at this point, I'm already so proud to be Asian. At this point, I'm just like, what the fuck am I like?
What have I been missing out on?
What have I like cut myself off from?
Yeah.
Like, and also I got into K-pop for the first time in.
Oh my God.
Like, do you remember this last year? I just got into BTS so hard. So this was around the time of my breakup, before I broke up with my lovely ex-partner, Will. I got super into BTS, and I'm like, fucking Asian music, the production on this is ridiculous. Because I wouldn't, obviously wanting to be white growing up, I would never listen to Asian music. I would be like, ew, like
what is this?
Why would you listen to this? And now I'm like, K-pop is it, guys.
Obsessed.
Like
to the T.
I was like, what have I been missing out on? And I think that's why I also kind of fell so hard into K-pop, because I was like, I've missed out on this, or it just kind of opened so many doors to like an Asian experience that I missed out on.
Yeah.
And like fun stuff, because like also Asians were enjoying this whole world in their own bubble, separate to the Western world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everyone is having fun in the Asian world, but like they're doing it on their own. And like, if you can't see that, so you're like, oh, you don't know what's going on there. It must be like quiet and like whatever and like not that fun. But it's amazing.
I felt that when I travel, like going to Korea, and you're just like, what the hell are we missing out on here in Sydney? Do you get that?
Yes, holy shit, I loved Korea. I loved it more than Japan, which was surprising.
Same. I prefer Korea over Japan.
I just thought it was the food, the markets, and like just
everything.
It was amazing. Because me and my ex-partner were both vegan, we booked an apartment with like a rice cooker just in case there was nothing vegan, fully. And I get to Korea, there are so many options even for being vegan. And it's like, it's not like bougie, like Western vegan option. It is Korean food, veganized. Because I guess also like vegan is trendy, and in Korea, anything that does like it's like it's
they got
trendy.
a massive
vegan,
cafe culture
vegan
there,
is
right?
trendy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're veganizing traditional foods. Like it was bloody, like I could not eat everything that I wanted to. Mm-hmm. So hard, like because I travel to eat basically.
Yes.
Same, yeah.
And like you only have like 3 meals a day that you can eat, and it's so like such a struggle to get to everything. You're like,
okay, next one.
But yeah.
Well, Viv and I were like talking, because one of my big things, like I'm a massive travel nut and I travel for food as well. Is I spent a year traveling a couple of years ago leading up to building the agency, and I was in Western China, which was in Yunnan, and I was telling Viv about this, and I said the food out there, particularly vegan, how vegan friendly it is ridiculous. And I was talking to people there, like chefs and stuff, because we're eating out all the time, and he was saying majority of the mushrooms that get imported into Japan are from this area.
Yeah.
And it's just this crazy, crazy place that no one ever talks about. And I just want to like basically create a company eventually to bring
amazing.
people there.
I froth regional cuisine in China because every single region is different. They have their own like noodles, their own like flavors that you never tasted before. And it is so mind blowing because like everyone, I feel like everyone kind of started with like the same base flavors, like soy sauce, noodles, whatever. But then every region hones its own like palate.
Specialty, yeah.
So when you go to Korea, it's sweeter. But then even within Korea, like all the different cities, places will be spicier, more sour, sweet, but they specialize in that. So it tastes fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You go to China, it's the same. You know, the like south is rice, the north is like wheat, noodles, dumplings, like it's amazing. And like I would definitely say I'm more foodie than vegan. So like I can look at all food and be like, oh, that meat looks fucking delicious. Like full appreciation for it. And like, oh God.
And I just like Asian, like you said, right? Like everything is based around food to the point where our language, like literally instead of like,
how are you?
It's like, have you eaten?
Right?
Yeah.
It's such a, like it's embedded in the culture so much. And you definitely bond over food with people. The amount of times I remember traveling, especially in China, where you just connect with people, complete strangers, and they just invite you to their home. Like,
and they'll feed you. And like, that's the other thing with Korea. Like, do you know that just reminds me of like, do you know in Japan how everyone's really polite and like, I don't know, really hospitable. In Korea, it's the complete opposite. People like, they will not pretend to be happy and like serve you.
No
but like if they like you, they like you, but they can look like they fucking hate you. but like I thought we were like, because in Western society, when you go to a cafe, like people are really nice. There's this service.
We're used to Australian customer
We're used
service.
to having service. Like it's not in the level of like America, but you're used to this kind of like, how are you? This like fake, like, hey, going, blah blah blah. And then in Korea, you'll think that like the owners hate you, but then you go there every day and then they'll just like give you extra free dumplings, pop it on your table. But that's how they're like showing you that they're thanking you for you coming to their restaurant every day. They're just like,
it's like how our parents, they
like,
cut up fruit for us at nighttime.
Exactly. They won't fucking tell you they love you.
No, but they'll give you fruit.
That's so interesting about Asian parents, the dynamic. Like they're always there for you. And I think that's something that I love about Asian culture. Like I could be having a screaming match with my mum before high school, screaming like I could not, like it was the worst time. But then she'll still drive me to the station to get on a train to go to school. Do you know what I mean?
It's like the TikTok video we were talking about. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's this girl and she's pursuing the arts or video production or something, and she's crying and her parents are telling her like, you chose this pathway and like, what are your plans next? What are you going to do? How are you going to earn money? And she's just bawling her eyes out.
Because she's like wrapping up a really big production. I think she's just finishing a huge like edit on like, she's at film school.
Right.
And like it's a huge project for her. So she's putting all her time and creativity and energy into it. But she's at home literally eating and her dad's like hounding her. Her mum's hounding her. She's just crying because
and she can't get open like this drink that she's trying to open and like.
It's like two different realities. Isn't it?
And it's like you feel so strongly about your path because like parents need to realize that we don't want to be poor either. We want to be successful. We want you to be proud of us.
But we also want to be happy.
We're not just fucking around. And it's kind of like a challenge, I guess, when they're like, because I think at the end of the day, they let you do all this stuff. Because my parents have always supported me. Like if they'll be like, oh, I don't understand why you're doing this. But they'll still give you like if you like with that lady, that film school lady, her parents paid for all her film equipment, her cameras and stuff.
There was a follow-up video for context where, because
everyone came after her parents being like, oh my God, they're not supportive.
And
but it was also like,
shit.
It was probably all mostly white people. It's always white people like being like, oh, your parents don't love you. And
people
like,
don't understand the Asian nuances of where they're actually coming from. Like
way too much judgment and lack of empathy, I think, in understanding that, right?
Yeah.
And they had closed captions and stuff. It was like she was saying something, but it probably came across differently. So she made a follow-up video and the mum was saying, you know, we're here to support you. We're questioning you because we want you to be secure. We bought you your camera so you could pursue this career. And like you said, like Asian parents are always going to be there no matter what. They're questioning you to keep you working hard, to keep you holding your values.
Yeah, it's like a little test.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like it's a lot of like, have you actually thought this through?
Yeah.
Do you actually do you know what the consequences are? Because like I think Asian parents, like, come on, I'm like 34. My mom talks to me like I'm still 7 years old.
I know.
Right?
When you go home,
but I think the thing in their head is that you're still my child.
Yeah.
And therefore, do you really actually understand everything, right?
Yeah.
You think you know everything, but I don't think you do. And so a lot of the questioning comes from, have you thought this through?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to regret this?
Yeah.
You know, it's not that I don't support you. It's like, don't regret what it is that you're about to do because we've been down that pathway before. So they're like speaking, I guess, from wisdom.
But also I think a lot of parents don't have the opportunities that we do. So they don't understand that even if we have thought it through, they can't see that we have thought it through. They're like, yes, you can do this, but like, are you ready sure?
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, I think if you're doing something with so much conviction, they will eventually understand that that is what you want to do. And at the end of the day, I think they let you do it because they know that that's what makes you happy.
Correct. They always just, like, that's the thing.
Deep down, they know we don't want to be poor and we want to succeed as well. And they know that that's what makes us happy. And I think deep down, they know happiness is like the most important. And like it's a difficult path, but they're going to let us
pursue
our dreams.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just a struggle because they just want to make sure. They just want to make sure.
That's right. Yeah. I think that's definitely the difference. Maybe like, and again, we're stereotyping like white parents are always about like, you can be whatever you want to be, you know, like just do it, like fulfill your dream. And Asian parents are like, are you sure about that? Like, you don't want to fuck up, you know?
Yeah, luckily my younger sibling is becoming a doctor, so the pressure's been taken off.
The fulfillment's been done there.
But if they hadn't gotten into med school, I think we would all be having a harder time.
Thanks for listening to the Level Asian podcast. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed the episode. And why not share it with friends and family who might enjoy it too? Also, make sure you head over to levelasianpodcast.com to join our email list and to receive the latest updates and get notified when the next episode drops. If you know a great guest we should feature, email us at contact@levelasianpodcast.com or DM us on our socials in the show notes. Catch you on the next episode.